Alright, time to get into the character creation series. So now I'm going to start off with Trinity. It's a game that I was introduced to like almost 30 years ago, and this is like a White Wolf series. So now I have done a flip through of this before, so if you want to go check that out, go back and check it out and everything. So in this series, what I'm going to do is now get into the actual creation of the character and everything. So this does have like a whole table in the book and everything for the character creation that you can go over, and it gives you a nice guideline to how to do it and everything. So what I'm going to do is now get into like a character that I played like when I was first introduced so long ago. So now his name was Felon Ward. So first off, with step one, I'm going to get into the origin. So there's affluent artist, gambler, hermit, nobody, outsider, philosopher. As I'm flipping the page, pioneer, protector, rebel, saint, scholar, and warrior. So each, as you can see, each origin has kind of like a different idea or different model of where you came from before you became like a scion or like the heroes in this one. So I'm going to go with the nobody. So pretty much I was just like your everyday working stiff or whatever, and I come from that and everything. So now we get into like nature. So now nature, as I see in the table, it says turn to page 177 for like nature, and that's like pretty much the type of character that you're going to the type of character or your like kind of like overall philosophy and outlook on life and everything. So now as I go over the nature, there's analyst, architect, bravo, bureaucrat, caregiver, conniver, critic, explorer, follower, hedonist, jester, judge, leader, martyr, rebel, survivor, thrill seeker, traditionalist, and visionary. So I am going to go with the survivor nature. So that entails you can endure nearly any circumstance, no matter what happens. You always persevere, never say die, and never give up, ever. So now the concept with the nature is like it has like a, a way where you can gain, in a sense, like your willpower. So with Survivor, it says gain willpower whenever you survive a difficult situation through your own kind and perseverance. So you have your permanent willpower, and you have like your willpower that you use, like a 1 point you use can give you an automatic success. Now, with the attributes and abilities as we see here, everything is based on a D10. Now you get a success when you roll a D10. You roll 7, 8, 9, or 10. You get a success. A willpower point when you spend it gives you one automatic success and everything. So, like with the survivor, whenever I survive like a difficult situation, I regain one of those, in a sense, temporary will points that gives me an automatic success. So now, as I go, kind of flip back to like the character creation table, I look at like, okay, now I got my origin, I got my nature. Now I need to like do the aptitude and allegiance. So my aptitude is going to be biokinesis, which is basically like a psi abilities that let me manipulate my body and everything. Now my allegiance will be to Norca, which is like the biokinetic psi order. So now that I got that top part done, now I move down into the attributes. So now there's three things I do. I prioritize primary, secondary, and tertiary attributes. Primary gets 7 points, secondary gets 5 points, and tertiary gets 3 points. So I am going to make mental attributes my primary attributes. So now I got 7 points to spend between them. So what I'm going to do is put 2 points in perception, 3 points in intelligence. There's 5, and then 2 more in wits. So there's 7. And so now I am going to move over and make physical attributes my secondary. So now I got 5 points to spend. So what I'm going to do is move down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now tertiary will be social. So what I'm going to do is just put like I got 3 points to spend. So I'm going to put 1 point in each of those attributes. So now, as you can see, I have, all right, fill that out real quick because that's bothering me. So 2 strength, 3 dexterity, 3 stamina, 3 perception, 4 intelligence, and 3 for wits. And then I got 2 appearance, manipulation, charisma. So now that's step 2. Step 3 is abilities. It's choose ability group based on allegiance. I get 10 points for that, and I have choose other desired abilities, 13 points. So then I'll be able to calculate abilities after that. So first off, I got to find my allegiance, so like and move through like abilities. So page 182, that goes through the abilities, and so like see if I can find like I know there's as I'm kind of winging this and everything, so yeah, here we go. Here's the table, page like 166 for the ability groups. So I look under, as I put this up so you can actually follow along, I look at Norca. So like my allegiance abilities: athletics, brawl or martial arts, intrusion, melee, stealth, and savvy. Now, biokinetics are kind of like your spies. Think of like a James Bond 007. That's why you have like a stealth and savvy, intrusion for some of your abilities. So now I'm going to write up myself as if like I got 10 points, so I'm going to invest 3 points in intrusion. That like think of it like that, breaking in kind of, or like electronic breaking, like an entering, like not just maybe picking locks to actually physically enter like a building or something, but bypassing like electronic surveillance, like electronic like intrusion into like computers and electronics and stuff like that. So there's 3. And I'm going to like figure out, I also got some martial arts training as well, so that way like, if I do run into trouble, I know how to like defend myself and kind of like physically get myself out of out of dodge, like if I had to, like use an intrusion, and I have find myself in the situation like, oh yeah, by the way, then boom, I use some martial arts to kind of get myself out of that as well. So like next I'm going to like figure, okay, I want to be stealthy, so I'll figure I want to be really stealthy. So now I've used 9 points to get those 3 abilities up to 3. So now I got athletics, melee, and savvy left. So I figure, okay, I'll use like get a point in savvy, maybe like using that kind of like be able to sweet talk myself out of stuff and everything. So now I've got 13 points to kind of like other desired abilities. So I figure like I'm recreating this character as best as I can remember. So I figure I want to be able to pilot starships and stuff. So there's like and I want to be pretty good at that. And I also want to be like good at firearms as well. So there's 6 points right there, because I want to be able to, in a sense, operate on my own. So there's 6 points. And like I figure get another like 3 points in survival, because maybe sometimes I might find myself in like the wilderness and I might have to be able to survive. So there's 9 points. I figure, okay, I want to like be able to lie myself out, like lie and cheat and get myself out of trouble and everything. So there's 11. So now I've got 2 more points. So I figure learn another language or whatever with linguistics, and then come across like my last point in awareness. So I'm kind of like better aware of my surroundings. So there's my abilities that I've used. And so as I get back to the table, so that takes us through step 3. Now step 4 is advantages. So we go through backgrounds, modes, and those are for step 4. So backgrounds is right here. So this says go to page 186 for backgrounds. So backgrounds, as we can see, like right here, are things like cipher, like pretty much like information on the internet or whatever, or lack thereof. In this regard, the cipher, we got allies, citizenship, contacts, devices, followers, influence, mentor, resources. That's for your backgrounds. So now the table says we have 7 points to choose between backgrounds. So since I'm kind of gearing myself towards like the the spy type of character, I am going to go with the cipher. I'm going to put 4 points in cipher, figuring that since I become part of the biokinetics, a lot of my information and everything was erased from the cipher. So with the background of like a cipher in 4, it goes through, like, for instance, like I'll read these off, like for instance, no cipher. Just like anybody else, everybody else, anybody can read your life story. That's if you don't have any cipher. Then moving up from 1 to 5, a couple of your secrets are well hidden. 2, your data trails are hard to follow. 3, name, rank, and serial number are all anyone can find. 4, which I put in, is even you have trouble remembering. And then 5, the highest you can go. As far as the OpNet, which is the 22nd century version of the internet, as far as the OpNet is concerned, you don't exist. So now I'm going to get contacts. So contacts are kind of like think of like maybe you have a deal with like a local like mortician or like local librarian. Maybe you have like a bunch of contacts at like local coffee shops or something. So you don't necessarily have they're not necessarily friends, but they are in a sense acquaintances that you like have that you can quite possibly call upon for information or everything. So I'm going to do like the contacts, and I am going to figure I'm going to put 2, and the same concept as this other one. So with 2 points in like this, I have 2 major contacts in different areas and a smattering of minor contacts. So there's 6, and then last point I figure I'm going to put in resources. So 1 point. So like resources are kind of like think of like money and like a gear and stuff. So like the one I have is like a small savings. It describes it as I have like a tiny apartment and maybe old used car or like a truck or vehicle or whatever. And if I were to liquidate everything, I'd have probably about $5,000 in credit and everything. So that's the concept of resources. So maybe I have like some resources kind of tucked away that I could like pull out in case I need it and everything. So there's the concept of the backgrounds. So now, getting back into step 4, I'm going to choose modes, and that's based on the aptitude. So like my aptitude is biokinesis. So I look at this, like it's on page 194. So it starts off like actually I'm going to show like the different abilities. So I look at the biokinesis, and like it has like 3 different like in a sense modes that you can choose from: adaptation, psychomorphin, and transmography. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to put my aptitude, biokinesis, and underneath that it's like when we look at the table here, the basic technique or whatever, that each one has like a biosense, like a clairsense is the sight and everything. So now I put the biosense underneath that. So that's my basic technique right here. So a biosense. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to take in a sense a dot in each of the abilities: adaptation, and then psychomorphin, as I'm trying to write quickly, and then transmography. And it's the same kind of concept. Making mistakes. Graphy. And what I'll do is I'll put like I get 3 points to spend, and I'm going to put 1 point in each of those. So it gives me like the basic like ability. So metabolic efficiency, sense biokinesis, and gross manipulation. So now in each of these, what it does is it gives like a description of like each ability. So like for instance, I'll go over metabolic efficiency. Essentially a poison neutralizer. This power allows the poison the Scion to ignore the effects of poisons or toxins. His body processes these foreign influences automatically and removes them from the bloodstream with astounding efficiency. This means it is difficult to enjoy the effects of drugs, whether beneficial or otherwise, and alcohol. His body simply eliminates them as they are introduced. Whenever this power activates, the offending substances are converted into neutral waste immediately. A Scion typically needs to urinate after this power has been active. System, your character is immune to drugs with toxin ratings equal to his adaptation level and below. And of course, it sees the toxic rating chart in page 229. And so that's basically like the idea of like a metabolic efficiency and like adaptation ability group and everything. And as you gain more abilities, you can become better and better. That's not just that ability, but the subsequent abilities that you get when you spend more, in a sense, dots in that group. So now, flipping back to the character creation, that's step 4. So now I'm done with the advantages. So now step 5 is finishing touches. So first off, I record initial willpower, which is 5. So I have like these dots are like permanent willpower. So I start off with a willpower of 5. So like willpower is pretty much like your like a sense of like a will to succeed and everything. So those are temporary. Then I write psi, which it says here stamina plus wits plus charisma. Stamina is 3, wits is 3, so there's 6, plus charisma is 8. Divided by 2, rounded up. So that would be starting off with a psi of 4. Now, psi is this is what lets me use these abilities. So I will like maybe spend a point to use the psychomorphin ability, and so the on here is temporary. And so like think of like a long rest or short rest in D&D. Like you take a rest and you gain back those like temporary psi points and everything. So then I go into initiative, and it says dexterity plus wits. So dexterity 3 plus wits is 3. So then I come here and I write initiative 6. Next up is movement right here. So it starts off, walk is 5 meters, run is dex plus 12 meters. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 meters. And then a sprint is dex times 3. So did I do that? 3. That's actually 15. I'm adding my intelligence. Looking at my intelligence and not my dex, so that's 15 meters. Dex is 3 times 3 is 9, plus 29 plus 20 meters is 29 meters. So that's basically how fast I can walk, run, and sprint in like a one instance combat round. So the combat rounds work similar to combat rounds in like D&D and Pathfinder. Now it says I have 15 bonus points to spend. So now I got like in this table right here, you can pause and like look at the different points systems that it uses like per bonus point to be able to increase those. So I have 15 points to increase stuff. So like I'm looking at this, I figure I want to raise psi 1 more point, so that's 5 points. So now I've got 10 points left. So like I figure I want to start increasing backgrounds. So now backgrounds, it says here, it's a 1-for-1 basis. So what I want to do is I'll, in a sense, raise contacts 1. I want to raise my resources. So there's 8. So now I'm looking at, I'm going to go back. Since I'm kind of happy with the attributes and abilities, I'm kind of like looking at my like other like this side of the character sheet. So I'm going to look at the maybe increasing more backgrounds and everything. So like I go back to page like 186 to kind of like to get a good idea of more of the backgrounds. So like kind of figuring like there's a background devices, like it says for instance like a relatively insignificant but useful device like enhanced computer agent. 2 is a minor device like a double fire and laser. So like I'm thinking, so, well, since I'll quickly go onto the resources, since I raised that to 2 up to 3. It says with 3 affluent, you own a house, stellar freighter, or other sizable equity. if liquidated, these items would yield 750,000 in credit. So now by raising that up, I got quite a significant amount of resources. So I figure maybe I have like a freighter that like I use to kind of like go through space, because being a biokinetic, being a spy, I have that freighter to kind of get me from place to place and everything. So like I figure okay, devices I would, so everything else I'm good. So let's see here, 3, 2, 3. So that's 8. So I still got 5, 6, 7 points to spend, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what I kind of want to do. All right, with that, so aptitude modes. Yeah, figure might as well like increase like I'll increase my like adaptation by 1 for 4 points. So there's 12. So I still got 3 points left, and I figure like I might as well. I'm thinking go further into backgrounds and spend my last 3 points. I'll spend 1 more point on cipher, and then 1 more point on contacts, and then 1 more point on resources. So that way, like my contacts now, like with cipher, as we said before, basically according to the internet, I don't exist and everything. And then with contacts, now I have 4. So under 4, it says 4 major contacts in different areas, although I may double up in a given field in a large number of minor contacts. So like I have like basically I could call up virtually just about any minor contact, be like, hey look, I need help in doing this research. Hey look, I need help in like getting this equipment. Or hey look, I call it the morgue, like hey look, someone came, like brought in body or whatever of someone that I came across, and is trying to like get information on like who they actually were or whatever. And then with resources, since I put that up to 4, it's now wealthy. You own a significant amount of property, a small outpost, colony, or living complex. I'd have $1.5 million in credit if everything was liquidated. So like maybe I have like on top of like my freighter, like with the 3, I maybe have like maybe a small like get like an outpost or whatever on the moon that I can get to outer space and everything. So like maybe like I work with the game master to kind of create the ideas for like the different backgrounds I have and different abilities. Now, with the attributes, one thing I have actually forgot to mention is like as I'm flipping to the attributes, is that if you have a 4 or 5, you get a quality. So, like for instance, intelligence quality is something that you'd like in a sense use to be able to have like a more a focus on. So, like for instance, I'll just say strength, for instance, like a athletic quality, you get like a maybe like a bonus to like athletics or something. Maybe you like you have to like roll for brawl or might or something, and like athletic might give you extra success or whatever. So that actually does go into that uh, in depth in the actual character creation. So I'm just doing this real quickly. So what I'm going to do for intelligence, since I have 4 in that, what I'm going to think is like I'm going to my quality will be clear headed. So figuring out that I can be kind of clear headed when trying to figure out stuff. So maybe like I'm kind of like get that bonus or whatever to intrusion when I'm trying to like hack into a system or something. So that's what you get. So like each ability that does go up to 4 or 5, you get a quality. Now you can use bonus points to get like a quality. As I'm flipping back to the character, like no, I misspoke. You don't actually get the qualities with bonus points and everything. So, but you get just the 1 per ability that goes up to 4. So, like if I up my dexterity or stamina by 1 point, I get qualities for that. So, like I could become, for instance, with dexterity, I could become coordinated, delicate, fast, flexible, nimble, steady. So that's kind of like kind of helps round out your character and everything with those higher abilities. So this is the pretty much the character creation for Trinity, and this is what I'm going to start off with the character creation. Now next week I'm going to get back into like a good old Pathfinder, so it gives me an actual like time to kind of go through the actual 2nd edition of Pathfinder. I'm used to 1st edition Pathfinder, so I kind of have to figure it out and everything. But regardless, this is a quick version of like the good old character creation for the good old game Trinity. So if you want to go see the flip through of the actual game, go back and check out that video as well. And so I will be doing a character creation for Aberrant as well. It's going to be much similar to this. So, but for now, this is Trinity character creation, and this is to kick off the character creation series that I will be doing for the next several weeks. So look forward to those character creations from this to Pathfinder to Aberrant, and I also will be covering Symborum, Blue Rose, let's see, Numenera, The One Ring, pretty much games I've done flip throughs for previously. So when these do pop up, don't hesitate to go back and check those videos out for the flip through, so you get at least a decent idea of what's in those books. So for here, the kickstart this and everything, it's Trinity, the sci-fi game. It's based in the 22nd century.